Hello, my friends. Welcome to Together Run number 4. These are adding up pretty quick, aren't they? I am still loving your feedback. When you put a photo of you on social media and say that you ran with me that morning, I can't tell you how happy that makes me. And last week I did a run from my house. So I would be curious, if you haven't already given me feedback on that, how much worse, different was that having, obviously there's more cars around, there's more like noises, like urban noises, I suppose, around. I did go over to the trail. Did you notice a difference there? Was that preferable? I really would love some feedback. That one last week was a bit of a random one. So we are back to just regular, a bit more controlled environment for this one. Going to get right to it, but just wanted to check in. I would love your thoughts, love to see your shares, and if you could leave a review on my podcast if you've been enjoying these, I'd love to see those too. Thank you so much. Let's pass it over back to me for Together Run number 4. Hi friends, time for our guided run number 4. This is the final one. I think I might test out as just a regular run, and then I think maybe we'll do a workout. The strides seem to be very popular at the beginning or at the end of last. It wasn't last time. It was the time before. Guided run 2 or Together Run 2, and so we're going to add some more of those. I'm glad you appreciate that, even though I surprised them on you. I am standing on the same place I did runs 1 and 2. Some of you said it was a little bit loud with the road crossings. I really apologize. I have driven to this place that's close to me, which I don't really like doing, but I really want to get as much quiet as I can. This is just the best I can do. And environmentally, I'm just not really comfortable driving 20 minutes or an hour to go find a quiet place. So this is the best I can do. I apologize if, the urban sounds, but I found the most quiet trail I can find. And many of you commented on how much you appreciated listening to the noises, and it just made you feel like you were running with me. So we are going to spend a few minutes doing our check-ins, reflection. I'm going to do a lot less prompting now. Just because I think it's very easy for me to influence you and not allow you to feel for yourself what feels right, or what you experience. So I'm going to be changing it up a little bit based on your feedback, but we're going to do that first. Got some conversation prompts from people, so I'm looking forward to doing those, and thank you for those. Give any other suggestions any of you have, I'd love to hear them. All right, that's enough babbling on. Should we get going? Ready? In 3, 2, 1, and off we go. So a few things before we get started, just to continue what I was saying about allowing you to go on your run. First, I have 2 sets of keys in my pocket because somehow I've managed to bring them both. And my car wouldn't let me lock it with one of them still in there. So, yeah, we have 2 sets of keys. Secondly, I didn't even wear my watch. That's hilarious. That's funny. I don't even have my watch on my wrist. Okay, this is going to be interesting here. I guess. I think I started this about 2 minutes into talking, so we're going to go with that. Can't believe I forgot my watch. Well, yeah. All right. Well, we're guessing. So I'm going to... but my point was, one of you, my dear friend Morgan, commented that when she heard the beep on that first or second one, she looked down and was like, oh my God, I've still got 0.15 of a mile to go when I hit the 1 mile mark. And I didn't even think about the side effect of that, of comparing the paces. But rest assured, usually my watch will be turned off beeping. Today, there is no watch. So there's definitely no beeping. All right, so I think we're going to begin with the check-ins. Let's start with our body first, and then we'll move on to the surroundings before we get into the deeper part of the conversation. So let's begin with the easy one. What do you smell? Take a nice deep breath. I smell flowers. What do you taste? I taste toothpaste. Nothing exciting. What do you hear? Other than my jingling keys. I hear birds. I hear my keys. I hear my footsteps. I hear cars in the distance. I hear my breathing. And that's it for me. Anything for you? I'd love to hear, by the way. I love seeing your views. But maybe sometime you could send me a little audio message, or when you upload your picture with this guided run, this together run, you could put a little audio clip of what you hear. That'd be fun to do. All right, let's work on what we see. I'm going to give you some time to just really look around. Try and find something along where you've run that you have never noticed before. Even if you've run this course hundreds, thousands of times, just look around. Pay attention to every little thing you can. What do you see? Anything jump out to you that you haven't noticed before? For me, I guess that there's more trees around than I tend to think. I mean, as much as we hear and find out about how deforestation is just how many trees we're destroying, how many acres of lands, millions and millions of trees we're cutting down, and how dangerous that is for us. But trees are just meant to be everywhere, aren't they? And it is special to see it. What about you? Is there anything that jumped out? And finally, what do you feel? Just be in your body and notice what sensations you experience.
Oh, it's better going that way. The sun's
Just stepped right in the middle of two people talking to each other from across the path. Well, but let's keep going. What do you feel? I'll give you some of mine in a minute, but for now, let's see what you pay attention to. What jumps out for you? And try to think beyond I feel my legs, I feel my feet. Do you feel the wind brushing against your face? Do you feel the warmth of the sun on your head? Try to think a bit outside the box. What is it you feel? I get myself across the street. This is the busy intersection I have to cross, and then we'll be quiet for a little while. Well, I feel the wind blowing against my tricep, which is the one on the front. Triceps, right? No, biceps, because biceps are the ones where you pull it towards you. Yeah, feel the wind on my biceps. Feel the sun on my forehead, which my forehead is rather on the large side, so not that I've come to peace with that, but it is. So I feel it more. I feel my shorts rubbing against the top of my leg, not chafing, but just bouncing. Feel my phone gripping, or my hand gripping my phone. Feel my fingers just bouncing and jiggling a little bit as I run. Feel my shoe. What about you? Was there anything that you noticed that you don't normally pay attention to? That's the beauty of this. And then was there anything that was tight or sore or not feeling quite right? For me, maybe a slight rub by my heel, where the edge of the shoe is, but doesn't feel like it's one of those discomforts that's going to turn into a pain. We'll check in towards the end of the run, see if anything's changed, see what you notice as we go on. So now, let's think about mentally. How are you feeling mentally, emotionally? What's going on? Do you feel tense? Did you notice that when you were doing the feel? You feel your jaw, your eyes squinting, your shoulders high, any of that? How are you feeling? Yeah, about life in general. I'll tell you my answer to that in just a minute. I want to give you just a little bit of time to ask yourself that question. And don't give the answer we'd give to someone passing by. Good. Well, how do you really feel? And it can be more than one thing. It can be good and bad. It could be stressed and excited. How do you feel? And if you are feeling a negative emotion, it's easy to want to push that away, get yourself back to a good emotion. We have a lot of pressure to be happy, and while we want to be happy, doesn't mean we should force it. And so let's just accept that. Accept that you are feeling stressed or bored or annoyed by my voice or something. How can you be aware of that without it feeling like you need to change something? By the way, just past, if you did the Together Run too, remember the shirtless singing dude? I just passed him again a few minutes ago. Not singing this time. So maybe on the way back we'll have some entertainment. But yeah, feeling, we've checked in there, and I think maybe now we'll switch into some light conversation and we'll get back to checking in a little bit. So first I had a question from Uta, and as much as I don't want to answer your question, Uta, I feel I should, because it's an honesty piece. It's something that I hope I'm not deceiving people with what you're seeing. But Uta asked about strength training. Am I still doing it? How am I getting on with it? Or some version of that. I'm obviously running, so I can't read it right now. But The answer is not great, honestly. I know what I should be doing. Drew has given me the training. And by the way, Drew does offer you can get your training on an app from him now. And it's an amazing thing he's done there. You get to see the videos of him doing things. You get to see his notes, the numbers, add your own weights, whatever. But those of you who were a Strong Star, who did our program, it's basically just a few steps forward from that. But for me, it's perfect. Like, I'm really excited for it. And whenever I do it, I love it. But the problem is, I just, as the excuse with everyone, it's just the time. And it's not really the time, it's the priority. Because I'm out here running right now. I found time to do that. But then when it comes to the strength training days, I always just say, well, maybe I'll just take an extra rest day. And that's what I end up doing. And I think part of the problem is that still, as far as I've come, I struggle with the idea of running 4 days a week. You know, I did 7 for so many years of my life. And then in recent years, became okay with 6 and now 5. But the intention was 5 runs, 2 strength trainings. But with just my life with 2 young kids, a business, and as of me recording this week, I did a climate reality leadership program, which I highly recommend you go follow them and join the next one. It's free. It's from Al Gore. He does these presentations. You get to meet other people. It's really, really cool. But it took up 3 hours, 4 hours a day for 4 days this week. And you have other things you need to do to be technically certified. And so I, this week, can use that as an excuse, but a lot of the rest of the time too, I say to myself, well, this is a one chunk time I have to do some work, and I prioritize that. So the answer is, Uta, not great. I'm managing, I would say, sorry, I'm going to go past some lawnmowers. I would say I'm averaging 1 every 10 days, but that's not good enough. And not that it's not good enough because I'm beating myself up about it. I'm actually not. Definitely do have a little bit of guilt, I suppose, but for the most part I'm just okay with that. But it's not good for my body. I know how much stronger my body feels doing strength training. I know it keeps me healthy. And I know that 1 hour of work I'm trying to do is just so unimportant. And the strength training is important. But yep, here we are. And I've talked a lot in the past about, you know, even when I was training as an elite, I knew rolling and stretching and just little other recovery things were good for me, and I didn't do those either. And so I've always struggled with the extras, but strength training was always a necessity. And the downside of where I am in my life is that I've gotten away from that to where it feels like, I hate to say this, but well, if I get injured, I get injured, and I don't like that. But then I also do, because I like the freedom and not having pressure to run. So it's a bit of a catch-22, if that's the right phrase. I don't think I've ever used that phrase before. Okay, so according to my guessing, We are coming up on 17 minutes of running. So over halfway for the 30-minute group. Not quite for the 45-minute group. And so I think this is a good time for me to talk a little bit about our sponsor, to thank Beam for supporting me with these. I had no idea if these were going to be a success, if you were going to like these, if you were going to say, I can't even begin to think about these, I hate them, whatever. But Beam took that risk and decided to trust me that these were going to be a good idea. And so, yeah, I want to thank Beam for sponsoring this, supporting me. So last time I talked about the performance, Beam Elevate Perform, which I used in my trail marathon, 2 servings of it. And today, this is going to be the annoying thing with running in the summer. If I run at the time that it's quiet, we're going to be the time the lawnmowers are going. But anyway, I want to talk about Beam Recover today, which contains electrolytes, collagen, and branched chain amino acids. Comes in lemon flavour. And friends, I've mentioned before, not really a citrus person, but this lemon tastes so good. I don't know why, I don't know how, but I really like it. And so, yeah, it just tastes great. It's like creamy while being fruity, and you don't come across that much. But yeah, so Beam, they have the 3 flavours or the 3 purposes of perform, balance, recovery. The recovery one I drank the minutes after my race, trail race, to recover. I drink it after my runs on a regular day. It tastes good. It's a way of getting electrolytes in, and it's enjoyable, really. So you can get 20% off a subscription or 15% off your order by going to beamtlc.com and using code TINA. That's beamtlc.com and using code TINA, and go check it out. I've been using them a lot and I love them. And yeah, I also enjoy that they are not individual bottles of electrolyted liquid, that I can carry these sachets, and I'm encouraging them to make bigger sachets so they're not individual, because obviously that's better environmentally. But yeah, you can take it with you, put it in water, and off you go. beamtlc.com, use code TINA, and there's also a link in this podcast app, show notes. Okay, so it's a lot busy here today. It's a beautiful day, so that's probably why. But I think maybe now we can work through part of Chip's question, and then we can get to the other part maybe after we drop off the 30 group, or maybe even another day, depending on how we do. So Chip, same Chip who submitted or tagged me in the post with Chris Gethard. This was the foundation for the Chris Gethard conversation. And our little secret news for that, Chris and I are actually working on something together for future. Yeah, so that was such a amazing relationship we built that day, or a connection, that we're now going to work together, which I'm excited about. More details to come. But Chip's question was some version of you've lived in a lot of places. Oh, was it tell me some things about each, or what did you learn from each? Something about that. So I actually was talking to a friend recently who did say that wow, you've lived in a lot of states. And I didn't even realise that I had. I mean, I knew I'd moved a bit, but think I've lived in 6 or 7 states, which is quite a lot, especially for a British person who, you know, spent it's not even most anymore. Most of my life has been here. A good chunk of my years here in America, in England. So, yeah, I will go through a bit of an explanation of what it is that I enjoyed and learned from each one, but also trying to do math to think that yes, we are coming up on the halfway point for the 45-minute group. So I'm going to turn around and then we can answer the question. So first place I lived in the US, which you may or may not know, was Indiana. And I lived in Bloomington, Indiana from age 2 to 5. Yep, so as a kid, my dad worked at he helped set up the Ford plant in Bedford, and so he brought us over while he helped set it up. And it's amazing that 30 years after we moved out there, I am still close to 3 different households from the street we lived in. One in particular, the woman is like a grandmother to me. I go visit her multiple times a year. But I'm also close to some of the other families too. So if that tells you where I established that deep connection that's there. But I obviously didn't really learn too much that I'm aware of from that time. One thing I do remember was going to school in England, having done a year of kindergarten over here, and one of the boys in my class telling me I was talking French because of my American accent. My parents said that when we went home, my sister and I both, my sister being 3 when we moved home, when she moved there as a newborn, my sister and I both had American accents, and my sister stayed for quite a while and just gradually faded away because she was still at home, but mine was gone totally within a week, which is kind of crazy and also kind of makes me sad because no matter how hard I can try to give Bailey an accent, a British accent, it's not going to happen. And she talks American, but she does have the odd word, like she says can't and mum, so, and water. As much as I'm going to try and cling on to those, they're not going to stay. And I also try to think through the fact that that's just giving kids free passes to make fun of her. So I have to, not that I want to be a helicopter parent by any means. I want her to figure things out and go through hard times to know how she's going to deal with them. Sorry, street crossing. But I don't want to also give her extra things that I could easily prevent by just talking to her how I would normally talk. Anyway, so yeah, Indiana, very conservative, but Bloomington itself was pretty crunchy hipster. So I don't really know what I took from there and what I didn't. I guess what I took was the importance of a sense of community. And maybe that is a big part of why I wanted to create our community, is that I had that growing up. And yeah, I guess I never thought about that before. And then I'll do one more, and then we'll do some reflection for the 30-minute group, and a check-in for the 45. So then, lived in England from 5 to 18. Age 18, went to California, lived in Orange County, Aliso Viejo, if any of you know that area. And I was basically trying to decide whether I wanted to go to university here or not. I decided I loved it. Of course I did. I was in heaven on earth. And the people I was surrounded by, while I was in a very entitled, materialistic area, the people I personally was surrounded by were incredible human beings. And to this day, I look up to them with so much admiration. Apologise again, lawnmowers. So much admiration because of just the good they put out into the world. So I learned a lot there about doing the right thing, being a good person, that I love the beach, and just meeting all kinds of different people. A lot of the people I was surrounded by practiced Buddhism or a version of Buddhism, and so that was different to what I'd ever seen or known, and so that was different, but I learned to embrace it and be curious about it. And so yeah, California, I loved it. And Steve jokes that I've been trying to get back there ever since, which is probably partially true. Okay, let's take 2 minutes for the 30-minute group. Thank you for joining me. And I think, just because I don't want you to miss out on what we are doing here with the 45 group, we could do maybe a few strides. And if you're doing a 45-minute group, I'll just wait a second. There's a small group of leisurely cyclists who were barely moving faster than I was, passing me. Anyway, so yeah, I think we'll all do some strides. Why don't we do that? We'll do 2. And then the 45-minute group, if you want to do 2 more at the end, you can. If you want to ignore these strides and just keep running, that's fine. Again, I don't want to get you in trouble, but I think it's fun to do. And for the 30-minute group, it'll be enjoyable. But let's take this last bit of time to check in with your body. How does it feel? Do you feel any of the areas you felt were tight? Are they loosened? Are you feeling any new areas of soreness? Let's just see how you feel for the last bit of time. Okay, and if you're in the 30-minute group, you can slow to a walk. I'm going to keep running. If you're in the 45-minute group and you're going to do the strides, let's just slow it down a little bit, because we're going to go straight into it with no walk or stop. We're just going to have a jog in between, okay? If you're in the 30-minute group, let's just walk and catch your breath, and we'll start it in about 30 seconds. So again, if you didn't do the second guided together run, we're going to run at about 70 to 80% of your max, not sprinting. Just going to do 10 to 15 seconds of picking up the legs. You're not trying to make your stride long, you're just trying to go a bit faster. And it's going to be by picking up your cadence, moving your feet faster. Even though you see elite runners who are, striding out, when we say stride out, it doesn't mean you try and reach, because then that's when you're setting yourself up for injury. It's not going to feel natural, and it's just not a good idea. So, are you ready? I'm going to pick up the pace in 3, 2, 1. And slow. slow it down. If you're doing 30 minutes, walk, stop, give yourself a moment to breathe. If you're in the 45 group, you can just take it nice and easy, try and catch your breath. So for a minute, I want us all to think about, but particularly the 30-minute group, work through your experiences again. What do you smell? What do you taste? What do you see? What do you hear? And what do you feel? Let's just take a little bit of time going through that. Okay, we're all going to do one more stride together, and then 30-minute people, you can peel off, go check out beamtlc.com. All right, ready? In 3, 2, 1. Okay, slow down. If you're in the 30-minute group, you are done. If you're in the 45, we've got about 10 minutes left, just under, 12 minutes left. So take a minute to catch your breath. See how it felt picking up the pace mid-run like that. Sometimes it can be a bit jarring. Sometimes it feels good. How did it feel for you? All right, to my 30-minute friends, thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time. To the 45-minute group, there are so many bikes and people today. Pretty crazy. We're going to continue with what I was saying about places I've lived and what I've learned, and then we'll do one more check-in, and then we'll do 2 more strides after we've finished. So you'll have a bit of a rest between them this time. Okay, so California. I also learned about myself that I wanted to be my own person. I learned to just trust in opportunities. That was a very random leap of faith. And yeah, it worked out. And then, many of you know, I tried to apply to go to school out in California, but my visa was denied. Possibly, the worst single moment of my life was finding out that. And I realise how privileged that is to say that. I've been very fortunate and thankful for the experiences I've had. But yeah, I was crushed. I just didn't know what I was going to do. I had turned down all the British universities. I had put all my eggs in this basket, and I was working an office job at the time, hated it, and yeah, it was really
On your lap. Okay.
kick in the face when I thought this was going to be my time to see what I could do as a runner. I knew I needed help. I knew I was lost, but I thought that was going to be it. But in the way that the world works, and shortly, a few weeks after that happened, maybe a month, I can't even remember. That's where I got the opportunity to go to Michigan, not to University of Michigan, to Ferris State in Michigan, and I spent the next 5 years in Michigan. What did I learn from Michigan? Do you know, it's horrible to say this, and I apologise to any Michiganders listening. I learned I freaking hate snow. I loved it on day one. Literally, for weeks, I was jumping in it like head first, running in it. The deeper I, the better. I loved it. And then the novelty wore off. And then I kept getting injured because of it. And then the 4 months of continuous snow and ice just wore me down. And yeah, so there are many positives, and I'll tell you those in a second. But being honest, that's the first thing that jumped to my mind. But what I did learn is that I'm tough. I can adapt and survive in whatever situation that's thrown my way. I learned that sometimes the biggest leaps of faith, the things that you feel seem too good to be true, can, well, maybe not work out how you expected, can teach you the greatest lessons. So I'm thankful for that. Oh man, sorry. I'm coming up to this road, and this slow group of cyclists has passed me again, and now I'm going to pass them again. Apologies. But yeah, I learned I can be tough. I learned I am strong and will adapt and survive. Alright, that's the last road crossing. So I'm hoping that's it. I also learned, what else did I learn? I learned that Midwesterners are hardworking and give all they can. They are compassionate, maybe not always open-minded, but we can work on that. But I just met some really great people, and I learned a lot, and I'm thankful for that time. I honestly, I know without that opportunity I wouldn't be doing this right now. So then I moved to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and did I love Philadelphia. I knew it going in. I loved it even more being there. I still say a little piece of my heart is there. I loved it. I loved the grittiness of the city. I loved the culture, the ruggedness. Is that the right word? I loved all there was to offer. I just loved Philadelphia. The people and everything. So yeah. And what did I learn there? I learned that people are people, and we never know what's going on behind what we see. We may judge people often, but you never know what's going on under the surface. I learned that teenagers can be very annoying. Apologise if any of my LaSalle former athletes are listening to this. I love you all dearly, but sometimes you drove me crazy. And yeah, I want to make sure we get to the next one, so I'm gonna skip ahead. Kentucky was a bit of a shock for me. Very conservative. I really struggled with the I don't even know how to say this without being offensive. I found it really hard. I'll sum it up as the recycling. How few people recycled. Probably education, but also partly just not wanting to, I don't know how to say this. I met some amazing people, and you've heard me talking about them for years. I love the people that I met, but I just struggled with the not wanting to change, not wanting to grow, that the state as a whole, I felt that with. That said, the people who I was close to, I loved like family, and there was a lot of struggle there that people didn't let define them, didn't let it hold them back, just got on with things, and I admire that a lot. And Chip, as you are a Kentuckian yourself, you were one of many, many, many special people I met, and I appreciated that so much. And I liked, while the slower pace of life was hard, I also really liked the fact that I could, it slowed me down too, which was good. And now here I am in St. Louis. We're running out of time. I don't feel like I can give a definitive answer, seeing as it's a pandemic and I haven't had a real experience yet. Okay, let's take the final few minutes to reflect how this run went. How do you feel mentally? How do you feel physically? And just think about what this has been to you. And yeah, let's just take some time for reflection. I really hope the wind isn't loud, by the way. Okay, for me, my left shoulder is tight, probably because I'm sweaty and my phone is sliding, so I'm gripping to keep it there. Balls of my feet feel a little hot. And emotionally, I feel mostly good. I feel there's that little part of me that's like, was I running too fast so that I was breathing a little hard and you can hear it too much? So there's always that inner critic going on. But mostly I feel excited, and I hope that you will tell me, put up a post of you having done this run and tell me about some of the places you've lived. What have you learned? Really would love to know. And I think that's our run. Yeah. We'll just take a minute to catch our breath, to just continue reflection and just reset. And then we will do 2 strides and call it a day. I'd love to see, I feel very quiet right now. I don't know if you feel that too, but this feels awkward to me talking. I feel like I just need some quiet. So I'm just going to give a tiny bit of time just to be quiet. And you too, pay attention to what's around you. Right, are we ready to do a stride? Just 10-15 seconds, picking up the pace, that's all. Nothing stressful, nothing, again, don't try and stride out, just move your legs a little faster than you were going and pick up the speed. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1. try and slow it down. And we'll give ourselves a little time, and then we'll do another one. I want to remind you in this moment, once you finish, remember to check out beamtlc.com. I talked about the Recovery Elevate today. It's got electrolytes, collagen, branched chain amino acids. Really great for recovery, and it tastes good too. All right, you ready? We'll do one more stride. In 3, 2, 1. And slow to a walk. And you're done. Finished. Thank you so much for joining me today for this together run. Loved your questions. Thank you to Chip and Uta. Do have some more questions from you, but submit yours. What would you like me to talk about? As you heard today, brain goes off in random directions. You'll get the honest answer, but I'd love to have any more suggestions you have. Send me an email, send me a message, and yeah, let me get to your question in future. Thanks so much for joining me. I will see you next Monday and on Friday for another episode, a regular episode of the Running For Real podcast. Before we end this episode, I just want to take a moment to shout out my podcast editor, Jeremy Nessel, who has done such a wonderful job of looking after my podcast, taking out all the mishaps in the episodes, while still keeping in the vulnerability and the realness and the rawness of the conversation. This is not one of those podcasts where I take out the ums and the ers and the sometimes the delay in words, because I think it's very important to keep that authenticity. We're surrounded by perfected and manicured everything, and I think it's really important that Running For Real stays that way. So thank you to Jeremy for your work. I also want to thank Maria Vargas and Amber Moore, who are also part of my team. They've been a big part of this community and me being able to build this brand. So just want to give them a shout out too. All right, let's get right back to the end of this episode. Really trying to take on your feedback, make the changes that you suggest, and also make it just more thoughtful of your experience, and trying not to insert my own opinions or what I am experiencing over what you would experience. So thank you for joining me today. Hope you enjoyed those extra strides, especially for the 30-minute group. And I'd love your feedback. I love seeing your reviews on iTunes. Thank you so much to those. Those help me to get found. And I especially love when you put up a photo saying that you've run with me. Why don't you tell me some of the things that you have learned in the various places that you have lived? I really would love to mention that in a post, and be sure to tag me in it. Thank you for joining me. I will see you on Friday and then again next Monday for another Together Run.